Mate, I put this polo on purpose for you. I'm still filthy with you, but you didn't push New Zealand to the side in 2018 and say, Lee, I want to play in the Emerging Nations for Poland. I think that probably up until about recently, that's the last time I had a good yak to you, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, that was a long time ago. I think my brother played in that team, didn't he?
He did a couple of years ago, and then I had a go at getting you. Obviously, I was never going to get you, but I'm going to try, aren't I? And then I got your brother's number off you, or I tried to get hold of your brother and checked the number with you.
Yeah,
something like that, and he wasn't available. Did he just have a new baby or something like that?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, yep, Jaden. Yeah.
Well, did. Mate, you can tell your brother and you. We didn't need you. We went undefeated.
I think my cousins. I think a couple of my cousins played as well in that team.
I have no doubt, mate, because there's Zelezniaks everywhere.
It's pretty big. Apparently, it's pretty big. I mean, I don't know much of my Polish side. We went to Poland to try look for some family back in 2016. But apparently Zelezniak's a pretty big family.
Mate, I forget where I've been, but I was doing something. I was doing some coaching in Logan or something like that. Yeah. And somebody goes, "I'm related to the Zelezniaks," or "I'm a Zelezniak." Yeah. So, mate, honestly, they get everywhere. They get where water wouldn't. So mate, I've just put this on to make you feel jealous. You're in Redcliffe, aren't you?
Yeah, we're living in Redcliffe now. We're based here for the whole year.
So are you in digs, like are you in a hotel type thing? Or
so we got our own places. Yeah, we're all renting our own places around the place. A few boys are living in Brisbane. I think all the younger boys, because the Redcliffe's a bit quiet. But perfect for me and my wife and my family. But we're all around North Brisbane.
What are the chances of you getting to play a game in NZ? Because I would imagine that it's something you boys ask about pretty often.
Yeah, so we got 6 games planned this year back there. From June onwards, our home ground will be Mount Smart again. So the way things are going now, could change. It could change that quite a bit now. But I think until June, Dolphins home ground, Redcliffe Stadium here. I think what's it called, Morton Daly Stadium.
Something like that.
Will be our home ground. Yeah.
It's going to get a bit crowded when the Dolphins are playing in the NRL.
Yeah.
How are you guys keeping the New Zealand feel? So I guess it's probably hard for you to picture this because since you've signed for the Warriors, I don't think you've set in foot in New Zealand yet.
No, I haven't.
You know, when you play for Penrith and you're in Penrith town, you have a Penrith culture.
Yeah.
When you play for whoever, you have a whoever culture. How do you keep the New Zealand culture, the New Zealand Warriors culture in Redcliffe?
I think we've done a lot of cultural stuff and tapping into our, I guess, the heritage of the Warriors, which is the Māori culture and also the culture back in New Zealand. So we've got things that are tying us back to Mount Smart that we've touched on just this year. But I'm not too sure what it was like beforehand because they've been doing this for 2 years now, or this will be the 3rd year coming up.
It could be the 3rd, yeah.
Yeah, this will be the 3rd year coming up. So I'm not too sure what it was like back then. But, a big reason of me signing here was to go back home and sort of let my wife and kids experience where I was born. And
I was going to say you were born in NZ.
Yeah. And grew up there for about 5. I moved over here when I was 5. And then we moved back when I was 12. We were meant to live there, but I stayed there for about 6 months. And my dad thought it'd be better for us to come back to Aussie. And
that was quite a good decision for the league players in the family.
Yeah.
Out of all, I mean, you've done a little bit of moving around in the last couple of years, and you've also had achievements playing for New Zealand and whatnot. I don't know if your social media and your outlook on life has been as chirpy as when you signed for the Warriors, though. I think that made you happier.
I think being here now, I said it to a few of the boys and a couple of the staff that I don't know why I didn't do it sooner. I think growing up in New Zealand, you always, growing up in Aussie and being from New Zealand, it's always been a dream to, like, you always hope the Warriors do well. Every club I've been at, like the Penrith and Bulldogs, if we're not playing against them, you're always hoping that the Warriors do well. I don't know what it is, but you just, I think because they sort of represent where I'm from, you always hope they do well. And when I was growing up, I didn't think that it would be possible for me to, because I was living in Aussie, that you could ever play for New Zealand, because obviously you'd have to live back there and train and play for the Warriors. But
So did you support them as a kid?
Yeah, always, yeah. I mean, I liked Penrith because I was at Penrith and I followed them, but I've always been a Warriors fan since.
What's the first game you can remember watching?
First game. I don't know. To be honest, my childhood when I was young is a bit of a blur. Because I was I think my sort of footy memories come when I was around maybe 9, 10. Playing for St. Clair Comets. That's when sort of my memory goes back as far as that. But yeah, I can't really remember too much when I was a baby. I started playing when I was 4 back in New Zealand.
And you can't remember it?
Nah, my grandparents own a rugby league club back in New Zealand.
Which one?
It's called College Old Boys.
Yeah.
So they don't own it, but they, like, my grandfather's family started it.
Yeah.
You could sort of say they're owners of it, and so
Godfather and the godmother.
Yeah, we had to play rugby league, and we weren't allowed to play rugby union. So, I don't really remember much. Yeah, I don't really remember much other than playing with my cousins and family and that. Yeah,
and the grounds would have been a bit different, a bit softer.
Yeah, and we played barefoot. So,
you mentioned St. Clair already. Did who else played in your age group at St. Clair? I mean.
That's playing NRL now.
Yeah,
yeah. So I had so when I was in juniors, I think was it under 9s, under 15s, we won the comp every year. Yeah. I think we went, was it 4 years undefeated? It was and then I remember when we lost, I think it might have been the 5th year. I can't remember off the top of my head. We lost, and it's like someone had died, and everyone was like, "Oh no, we're going down."
How do we deal with this? Yeah,
and then we ended up getting back on the horse and winning that grand final that year. But I remember when we lost, it was pretty crazy. But we had players like Zach Clay, Tapai, Moroa from Tapai in our team. We had guys like Jaden Tavai and. I think the biggest thing for us was Nathan Cross. The coach was Graham Cross. Actually, because he helped me out a lot, Crossy, and because I'm from a family of 6, so my parents used to be on weekends at everyone's games, driving us here and there. So a lot of our coaches had to drive us to some games for the warm-ups because my parents were at other games. But he actually went when I made my debut and took him a ticket, and because he trained us from that whole time, and he used to go and watch the Rabbitohs train, and he'd bring those same drills to us, and we were running block shapes and unders lines and under 9s, and everyone just didn't know what it was.
People would be turning the nose up for that now, Dallin. They'd be saying, "No, you're not allowed to win."
Now in juniors, I'm hearing that they're going away from tackling. Like it's getting a bit crazy with all the rules and that now. Yeah.
Well, I'd love your thoughts on. I'm not asking you to get political, but you've just rattled out there a story about your childhood, and of course, winning those games and then losing that one after 4 years. Surely that taught you so much.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I saw the positive in it. There was a few we'd been undefeated for like 3 or 4 years, something like that. Like hadn't lost a game. So it was disappointing when we did lose, but then again, like not many people get to go and do what we did. We were kids and just having fun. I think the biggest thing for us was we were close. We were close as a team. We went to school together. Like it was more, we were all mates instead of footy players.
When doing these little chats that I've done with people, I spoke to Will this morning, spoken to Gutho and Ronaldo Mortal. I've got a few more lined up.
Yeah.
And all of them talk about the strength of the bond with your mates.
Yeah.
So as an NRL player, you're sort of brought together by somebody else, aren't you? You're brought together by money men or whatever it may be. You're brought together by salary cap or whatever it may be. When you play for a club or a school, you're often brought together by community.
Yeah.
Families, friends follow friends. And the other thing is you play with players that you go to school with. So you spend all day with them and everything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and you brought it up without me even being prompted. And I guess one thing I always try and get out to the kids that I deal with is just to really enjoy these moments, because if you happen to be good like you were,
Thanks.
Somebody can try and take the enjoyment away from you sometimes, can't they?
Yeah, like that's where I really, really fell in love with the game. Was my juniors and made me want to be an NRL player was the fact that I was having a lot of fun. And when I do go and do stuff with junior clubs, and my biggest message is that you got to have fun. I've been to games where I hear coach and then like under 9s and 10s and they're swearing, going up there, you need to do this, you need to do that. And
yeah.
And then when I get in there and they ask me to talk, I just said, as long as you're having fun, then you're winning, kind of thing.
And it does get lost, doesn't it, when you get to junior ends?
And I mean, I still love the game, but when you get to NRL, you get to see, you sort of see the business side of rugby league, and it's not like it takes your enjoyment away, but it there's pressure that comes now. There's you got to be performing, where before when you're in juniors, you do something wrong, everyone's just like, oh, it's all good. Like
you still have your place the week after.
Yeah. We're still going to be going to school together. We're still going to be doing the same thing every single week. And I've found that the teams that I've played in that I've done well in, we're all close. And yeah, like it's hard to say that it's just the bond that wins your games, like, because it's not, but it's a big part of the game.
Yeah, of course it is. I always say to my teams, if you're close, then when you're defending your own goal line, you'll dig in. When you've got nothing left, you'll just dig in that little bit more for a mate.
Yeah.
Growing up, when did it first sort of occur to you that, I mean, I bet you always wanted to play the game for a living, but when did it occur to you that maybe you might have a chance to play the game for a living? I spoke to Gutho and he basically made it sound like he never was in doubt. William wouldn't have been in doubt. The minute he came out of his mum, he was probably got a contract. But what about you?
Mine was probably, I think when I was 15, a lot of my mates made it up in age for Harold Matts, and I missed it. And that sort of, like, I took it hard and I put my head down that whole year and I just trained, and I came into that preseason with you. Yes. And I was always a center growing up. Remember, I trialed for center with you.
Yeah.
And then I think the first round, like I did well at that preseason. I don't know if it was because it was my first, but it's still, I always say it's one of my hardest ones, because I learned a lot in that preseason.
Yeah. What can you remember?
I remember those hills. Remember those hills that we I remember those. I remember struggling. So I remember struggling in the coat hangers we used to do. Yeah. I think I got a real taste of like this is what I'm in for if I really want this to be something special. Because coming up through the grades, you had a lot of people coming up and saying, oh, you're going to make it. You're going to make it. And for me, I was, like I said, I was just having fun with mates. It was never really like, I'm actually going to do something about it until I missed that Harold Matts. And then I wanted to play center, and then you put me on the wing for round one, and I was just happy I made the team. Like I was like, yes, I'm in. And then you put me on the wing, and I didn't really care that I didn't make center. And then I think round two, you pulled me aside, and then you go, oh, have you ever played fullback before? And I was like, oh no, I've played it here and there just to fill in for games. And then then I stayed there since. And
is that where you played most of your NRL games as well?
No, so I stayed there until NRL, and I've played most of my NRL on the wing.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of years at fullback.
Where's your favourite position?
My favourite, to be honest, anywhere in the backs. I mean, they all have their perks. I love wing. Like wing I love, because it just depends who your halves and that are, if the ball's getting out to you, kind of thing. Because you can
sometimes think wing can be just as hard as fullback too, because you deal with enough high balls.
Yeah.
You return either the first or the second carry each time, which was all right for you because you used to run like a prop anyway. You had no fear. We used to say that. I used to be sat there in the coaching box with Jimmy and say, watch him, just go. But if there was no space in front of you, you literally just went charging in.
Yeah, I mean, because if there was a line, then I'd sort of just have to do that. But if I could see there was broken lines, then I could go sideways and try and do something.
There's two players I've coached in the last 1,000 years that that have that. It was you. Willie used to dance around him.
Yeah.
Gutho used to just wiggle around him. Like, it was hard to describe what he did. Sort of wiggle around him. You'd try and run over him sometimes. But TC Rabasi, you know the back rower at the Broncos?
Yeah.
He would, you know the old saying, you'd run through a brick wall?
Yeah.
He wouldn't, he'd just go, what, a brick wall? Like, he's got that sort of, and I think you had that too, that sort of lack of, you never went in worried about your looks, did you? Like, you just went, boom!
That's why I got married early and had kids.
But I think, having looked at your career, you've sort of developed more of the outside back instinct the more you moved around in positions.
Because I've played centre, I've played wing and fullback, and I've had like quite a bit of time in each position.
Yeah. Mate, I got the picture out. Have you still got that at home anyway?
Yeah, actually, my mum has it. My mum has a lot of my my stuff like that because I've moved houses and that, so things get lost. But
so you're right at the back there.
Yeah.
Are you still the New Zealand captain?
Yeah. As far as I know, I was speaking to Madge a couple of weeks ago, actually.
So you were the New Zealand captain, but you weren't captain of Lee's Harold Matthews.
To be honest, it was a shock, Madge calling me, but I never expected it. But I've never sort of wanted to be in a role like that, anyways.
Can you remember who the captain was of the Harold Matthews?
Was it Aiden?
No, Joshua Grant.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Josh.
What other names do you remember? I'll tell you what, on here, there's enough staff.
Oh, Lodgie's in there too.
Players.
Lodgie's in there too, isn't he?
Back row, there he is. Yeah. I assume. Sorry, did I move it away?
Yeah, that's
I assume you're really good mates with Lodgie.
Yeah. I've
always maintained Lodgie and ask him if he'll do this with me when you see him.
Yeah, he actually spoke. He was going to jump on today with us.
Oh, well, tell him I want to because I texted a number.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Sweet.
He said to chat to you about it.
Well, tell him I'm keen because I
was meant to go fishing with him this morning.
I've always said about Lodgie, he's got a massive heart.
Yeah, he does.
He's just done some daft things.
Yeah,
and I know that there's people overseas, particularly that won't really like what he did, but I think he's done enough since then to prove that.
Yeah, that's so. And if you really know Lodgie, like I've known Lodgie since I was 12. We played McKillop under 12s together. And I've been I've known Lodgie. What is it now? Almost 14 years.
That's it. He's just
he's made a mistake, and honestly, for me, I'm the last person to judge. So I love him. I get along with him really good.
Mate, tell me this, and you've got a smart head on your shoulders. Do you think in Australia, do you think we pump kids' tyres up a bit too much too early? Because I think that's what Lodgie might suffer from a bit, you know.
Yeah, I've you see it a lot, and some people don't get through it. I mean, I've played against some guys when I was coming through, and I've seen my brother's mates and cousins' mates that freaky players, like you think they're going to play NRL 200 plus games, and then so they're like, and people are telling them this when they're young and they make the paper when they're young, and then they think they've made it, and sort of comes crashing down like this. And they don't get to kick on because of that. I've had a really good mentor in my manager, Tyron Smith.
Yes.
He told me something when I was young, and he goes, because I was in the paper a couple of times when I was young, and he told me something like, today's newspaper is tomorrow's fish and chip paper. So don't.
You never had a hint of ego about you, mate. I'll tell you that now. Like,
yeah, I think that was my parents sort of. I grew up with 5 brothers and sisters, so I got mocked and teased. I was still in my family.
Were you the youngest?
No, I'm the 4th youngest.
So young enough. You're in the bottom half.
Yeah, so they brought me back down to earth. They still do now.
What I remember of you around the Matthews time, because I love telling the old stories to people.
Yeah.
I remember telling the trainer to stop swearing. I forget his name. He was a great bloke, but he's here now.
Was it Brock?
George Harvey, Rob Fisher.
Oh, Rob Fisher, yeah. I still his daughter was the daycare teacher at my kids' daycare when we were staying in Penrith. So I
I
seen
thought
him.
you were going to say a worse story than that. That's nice. So I remember we were training because I think the fields were wet. So we trained on the grandstand.
Yeah,
and he was just giving it, come on, effing this, effing that. And you turn around and went, excuse me, Rob, do you mind not swearing? And he was in shock, the shock of his face. And I was just giggling in the background like go down. And then the other thing, and you've just hashed my memory. You were talking about your parents having to go around and pick all million of you up from games. Well, I remember there was a couple of times you were waiting training. We had to wait back.
Yeah,
mate, you basically had your head in the Bible. You had your head in the Bible. You'd have Lodgy and all the others. They were swinging from the trees and trying to jump in the river. You were just.
Oh, I remember that. That was some fun times.
Yeah. So, mate. So I'm super glad I came into your orbit. And then after that, you went SG Ball. But at the same time, you were also at Blacktown, weren't you?
No, I was at St. Dom's at the time.
I
went to Blacktown Pats when they swapped training because St. Dom's was just down the road from Weir Reserve in the stadium.
Right. Yeah.
So I could walk to training, and my parents didn't like me catching the train in that at all. So when training swapped to Blacktown Pats, Penrith had a thing with the St. Pat's.
That's right, yeah.
And then we started training at St. Pat's. I used to have to leave St. Dom's early and have to catch the train to Blacktown Pats then just to make training. And my parents didn't like it because they thought it was a bit unsafe, and my mum doesn't like to cut the leash on us, so she's very protective. And then Penrith sorted it out, and I ended up going to St. Pat's, so I could go to school and stay there, and then my parents could just pick me up after.
Well, when I was St. Gregory's coach at about the same time, my first year we always beat Blacktown.
Yeah.
My second year we always beat Blacktown. My third year when you were there, you flogged us about 42-0. There was a game at Campbelltown.
Our Pat side was stacked. I think we got quite a few NRL players from that team now. So
Bryce would have been in it. Lodgy would have been in it.
Lodgy, yeah, Paulie,
Gill, Paulie,
Paul Simona.
Yes. John Asiata.
Yeah. No.
Had he left? He wasn't.
He's older than me. Yeah. Nah.
I always say this. Do you remember Moses Liotta didn't make our team?
Yeah, I remember. He made.
Are you still in touch with him?
Yeah, I still.
Does he ever talk about it? Like, because I always think it's a great lesson. Like mate, one thing I used to do, Dal, is that I used to leave no stone unturned. I used to watch as many videos of you as I could to make any decision, because I always knew that I was impacting your lives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I always knew that the decisions that were made then might impact.
Yeah.
Right. For example, I used to, me and Lodgy used to butt heads because he was a tough kid to manage. And at one time I went up to the club and said, I think we should drop him for a game. He's disciplined. And they basically blamed me for not controlling him. And I'm adamant, and bear in mind I've been a teacher for a long time too, I'm adamant that if you just had that little pullback then, it might have just been enough to help him along. Because I've always believed in Lodgy. And I tell you, in one of those grand finals where Greg beat Blacktown, when I was there, my second year, he was the first person to come up to me after the game, Lodgy. Yeah. And he had every reason to not like me, because we used to, I used to tell him things he didn't like, such as, I don't like what you're doing, Lodgy. But you were at Blacktown, so Lodgy would have been in that team. Dad McGill.
I think that would have been the year before me, because when I got there, Lodgy had gone to Melbourne, I think.
What about one of the Jennings? There's a few of them.
Robert. Robert was with us.
Robert was in our team too.
Yeah. I remember a story about Robert. We were walking to training one time, and we both hadn't scored like in a few games, and we were both on the nudie, and I was like, oh, what's going to happen? And then that weekend he goes out and scores a hat trick. Can't remember who that was against.
You went, that must have been one of your best footballing years, because you played Aussie Schools that year too, didn't you? Or was it the year after?
That was the year after, yeah.
Who did you play against?
I pulled out because I wanted to play for the Junior Kiwis.
You got selected though, didn't you, for the schoolboys?
Yeah, so I got selected in the schoolboys, and then I was playing 20s at the time, and if I went on tour with them,
Yeah.
I would have had to miss out on the 20s season, like the back end of the season. And I thought playing 20s would be a better pathway for me to play NRL. So I knocked it back, and I wanted to play for the Kiwis, junior Kiwis as well.
And did you play games for them?
Yeah. So we won. So we ended up winning the 20s comp.
That's right.
In 2013, and then I played the junior Kiwis game at the end of the 2013 comp.
Was that in Whangarei?
No, that was at Cogra.
Which was quite far away. I'm on the North Island of New Zealand, and you're in. I'm getting the years mixed up, I think.
So so that would have been 2012. We played an Aussie Schoolboys comp where I didn't make it in that team, but we took it out, and I think I was 16 at the time. We ended up taking it out, and but our CC side was stacked. We had Mitch Moses, Luke Brooks as halves.
Because I had you in that MCS.
MCS, yeah. That would have been 15s. Yeah, that was 15s.
It was 18s. I had you in 18s.
Oh, did you have me in 18s? Was it 18s?
Yeah, I should have got that picture as well. Moses, Matheson.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was it. Bryce.
Dallin, you, Joe Stimson, Bryce, Lodgy.
Stimo, yeah.
I used to call Stimo the drill because he just used to drill holes in the opposition.
Yeah.
Mate, we won that year, that MCS carnival. We won it at a canter like it was. I remember coaching Mitch, and I just used to talk to him for about 30 seconds and say, yeah, just do that, and then put the ball over there. You go, sweet, and just do it. It was effortless, mate.
Yeah.
He is a real quality player, and I think he suffered a little bit from being a para in the sense that the media pressure that's on him all the time.
Yeah.
You want every halfback to be the next Peter Sterling. Like, he's a really good player, mate. And still to this day.
Yeah. Mitch Moses and Luke Brooks, I've played quite a few games with them, and them two together just
knew each other inside out.
Yeah, I played fullback, so all I had to do was just run and get to play.
Thank you very much.
Footy,
yeah. I tell you who was in that side too, and I really rated him. He's still hovering around somewhere. Brad Dietz, the hooker.
Yeah, he was at Doggies with us last year.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was good to see Dietz. When he first came in, I was like, "Oh, Dietz."
He's got ability.
Yeah, he does.
I remember him. I remember coaching him like it was yesterday. Did you play for New South Wales under-18s that year or another year?
Yeah, we played the Origin against Queensland. Yeah.
And you beat them at Tunkall?
Yeah, it was like, I think it was 54-6 or something.
What were you like playing in front of crowds for the first time? So, like, what were you like playing in front of, like, say, 20,000 people? Did you?
It was sort of, I mean, I enjoyed it. It gives you like a adrenaline rush that's why when last year when it went to no crowds, you sort of, like, you do a good run, and then you sort of know you've done a good run because the crowd would hype you up. And you're like, I'm gonna go do that again. And sort of when there's no crowd, you're like, oh, what happened? Did I do something good or bad?
You can hear your dad in the corner.
Yeah. But yeah, like it was sort of cool, like because it got bigger and bigger. Harold Matts, then SG Ball was bigger than 20s, and then it sort of prepared you for, instead of just going from nothing to something.
I think you were at Penrith in a golden time for being a junior as well.
Yeah, I was.
So, he got rid of me, Gus. I never had a guy. Just sacked me. He sacked everyone apart from whatever. And but he obviously did great things at Penrith. Didn't he?
Yeah.
When you and I were in each other's orbit, Penrith probably wasn't performing as it should.
Yeah.
At different levels. There was a lot of Penrith kids going to different NRL clubs, if you remember. Yeah. So a lot of your mates would have been signing elsewhere. Yeah. I remember us drawing with the Roosters at Henson Park that year. And about 4 of the kids were Penrith kids in the Roosters side.
Yeah.
So Gus came in, and obviously, mate, you just clearly thrived in that system, didn't you?
Yeah, I think there was a few of us. I think Yoey's the only one there from our sort of group that's holding it down at Penrith for us at the moment. Yeah. We sort of came through when I think Gus had got rid of Luke Lewis, Michael Jennings. He got rid of like some big name players and sort of started nursing us through, like the younger Jennings boys. Myself, Yoey, Reggie, Bryce, sort of started nursing us through and put a lot of time and effort into us and developing us. So, yeah, and Gus played a massive part in that for us. So, yeah, like you said, we did come through a good time where Penrith put a lot of emphasis and money into developing the juniors. And you can sort of see it now, like the young kids coming through, like so much more advanced now, and it's a credit to what they've got out there and the way they're developing the young boys coming through.
You know, like the Gus did so much of that, mate. Like it, to be fair. I mean, obviously, I'm going. You know, he got rid of the wrong Matthews coach. Should have kept it. How much of a these chats I have, mate? I don't really, mate. It's not NRL.com. You know what I mean? But I do like to ask the other question. Like, was it a wrench for you to leave Penrith? Or did you feel you needed to?
Yeah, I needed a change, and I think, and like in that year we weren't doing too well, and we were we're all over the place. And I think Bryce had left, Gus had left.
That's right. Yeah.
There was heaps of things changing, and things happen, and I was ready for a change. And
how old are you now, Dal?
I'm 26.
Oh, really? Coming into your peak, aren't you?
Yeah. As they say.
Does your body feel like it's coming to an income?
Yeah, my body's actually felt a lot worse because I never used to put time into my body. I was always thinking I was 18. I was like, oh yeah, I'll be fine. Like
I still do that now, and I'm 40.
I remember when I first got into NRL, I used to mock some of the older boys for being on anti-inflams all the time.
Okay, yeah,
and I'm that guy now.
I remember Petro Sivanasiva being in Matthew Elliott's team meetings, and he would have a stretch band constantly.
Yeah,
and he was like 84, still playing in the NRL.
Yeah.
So there had to be some method in his madness. He'd sit there. I don't know if you were in and around the first grade around then, but he'd sit there and just, while he was listening to a Matthew Elliott video review or whatever it was, he'd just be stretching constantly. Yeah. And no wonder he kept playing.
And I got pretty. I had a pretty shot knee where I just couldn't get on top of it, and then I started sort of investing a bit more time into my body and making sure that like I do stretch and those kinds of things. And I mean, I've always stretched, but like I guess my diet, my things I did away from football, like I was playing a lot of sport. I was doing footy. I was playing basketball like every Wednesday night with like basically we were going 100 miles an hour. I was playing volleyball, Oz tag, touch, and my knees and like feet were just like aching all the time. So I had to sort of pull back on that. But at the same time at Penrith, I wasn't playing really well in 2019 either. I think if I could forget a couple of years that I played, was probably 2020 and 19. I was getting things in my personal life, my head in that wrapped around it all. And thankfully now everything's sorted. I'm back to normal, I think. But yeah, and then at Penrith, we were losing and I wasn't playing as well. And then it sort of that was just a big snowball effect. And then
I reckon I could just see you at Penrith the whole life, you see. That's why.
Yeah, I never thought I'd ever leave Penrith. And I mean, but I'm actually like really happy with how things have turned out. I've learned so much more. I've learned so much more about myself too. So
what's it like going to another club as a player? So I know as a coach, right? So you can go from one joint to the next and you're basically in charge of the environment. So if you want things to change, you can change them.
Yeah.
As a player, you're basically a victim of the environment, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, the environment, you get the environment dictated to you. Like, how different have your three clubs been?
They've all had their, Penrith's system is ridiculous. Like I was there at the building phase of Penrith. And then sort of went to the doggies at the time they were trying to build too. And I think with Penrith's system, it was just I haven't been to every club, but the system there is just for young kids coming through is one that probably would benefit you. With the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs was hard because we trained hard, and like every team does, every team trains hard, but we just get out into the paddock and just couldn't put it on there.
There's something in any organisation, I think, that, and you've got to be careful how you say, I suppose, but any club that sort of finds itself in the bottom rung of the ladder constantly, you can almost guarantee there's something in their organisation that wasn't quite right. So I remember when I was at Penrith, it became pretty clear to me. I'd been at Manly, right? And albeit I was on the junior staff, but you still, I still spent time with Des Hasler and everything else. I was close to Matt Elliott at Penrith. But it was clear to me at Penrith why things weren't cooking on gas at the time. There was too many forces working against each other, and a lot of it wasn't geared towards performance. We don't have to start listing them or anything like that. But do you pick things like that up when you go, like, you were at a market leader as a club with Penrith, weren't you? Penrith have been one of the best clubs now for the last half a decade. Easily.
Like we had Anthony Griffin there, where every year I was at Penrith, besides 15, we played finals. So my first year at Doggies, we didn't play finals, and it was very weird.
Have a holiday in September.
Yeah, like it was motivating too. Like, fire, man, like you want to play. Whereas, and then because what people don't realize at the Doggies, it's not like we were taking shortcuts. You almost could say that we were overdoing it, trying to tick every box, but there was things that you just can't get right, and
probably trying too hard.
And at, like, as much as you love footy, no one likes losing. So when you're losing week in, week out, it can be very draining.
It's like yours and Gus Gould's club, they're intertwined. So he goes to the Warriors and the Dogs, and you just went in a different role.
I know. Actually, Gus has played a big part in my signings as well, going to clubs. So he's someone I actually talked to about about things. So coming to the Warriors, I was like, we're going to link up again, and then he goes back to the Bulldogs. But if anyone's going to, and I really do hope the Bulldogs do well. Because it's a good club, it's a good family. Fans are.
I was just hoping that nothing bad happened. I was hoping that nothing bad happened at any of the clubs or anything.
Nah. Yeah. But yeah, like the fans at the Bulldogs, they've been waiting a long time to hopefully do well, and if anyone's going to do it for them, will be Gus. And fans are very passionate, sometimes too passionate, where you'll copy messages after the game. But
I was going to ask, I keep meaning to ask this player, do you get random messages on like Instagram stuff?
Yeah, so when I was at Penrith, I didn't. I was pretty close with all the fans too, but when I left Penrith, there was quite a few fans that were upset with me and sent me a few messages. And it was a bit not disheartening, but like upset, because they didn't know the full story. And clubs always protect themselves, but at the Doggies, got to, like, you can see the frustration of people. I mean, you support a team where you just your whole life, and to see them doing well, and the us not getting the results can make them pretty frustrating. But copped a few messages, but I would always reply with something like, I'm trying, like, I'm not going out there to do it on purpose, but and then I just wish them well. I hope you're well, and we do better next time. And then you'd always get a message back saying, "Oh, sorry, mate, I was just a bit down at the time, or I lost a bet," or something like that.
It's only a different version of, so like if 30 years ago, the players used to go in the local pub. They'd play for Newtown or North Sydney or whatever, and then go in that local pub, and then somebody would start giving them grief about, it's the same. It's the same thing, but a different medium.
It's just like when I was younger, I would never ever think of messaging an NRL player saying. It's just times have changed now.
Mate, you've basically been in the New Zealand side all your senior career, haven't you?
Yeah, since
a couple of years you were injured and then suspended.
Yeah, 2014. I went on tour with the Four Nations and with the Kiwi squad.
Yeah,
and I got told on Tuesday, "Oh yeah, mate." I thought I was only going in as a development player, and I was like, whatever happens. I'll learn quite a lot. And then I was training, and Manu was sitting on the sideline, and I was like, "Oh, he must be sore," and I'm just filling in for him just until he gets his body right. And then I got pulled aside after training, and I said, he told me I was playing.
Was this Madge?
No, this was Steve Kearney.
Yes.
And he told me I was playing. I was like, "Oh, what the heck? No way." And I sort of remember going to the toilets, and I was just in the toilet, like, and I rang my dad. My family didn't believe me. But
where did you make your debut?
I didn't make it to 2016. So I went to the beach after that for recovery. And then we were swimming, and I just went over a wave, and then I put my foot down, and I broke my foot.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. I broke my foot, And then the year after that, I made the Anzac test. And then the game before the Anzac test, I had made a tackle and I got penalised for it. Didn't get put on a report or anything. So I went into camp. And then Steve Kearney stood up on the bus and was like, something's happened. Dallin's not playing this week because he's been suspended. And I thought he was just trying to G me up from last year saying, he can't play. And then I was laughing saying, you can't get me. And he goes, no, I'm actually serious. Like, you're not playing?
How many tours of England have you done with New Zealand?
I've done three.
What stadiums have you played at?
I've played at
Old Trafford?
Yeah, I think so.
The big red thing.
I've been to England and haven't played in some games too. So I know we've played at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
I think
that's right near where I grew up, Old Trafford.
Yeah, we played in 2018 there, I'm pretty sure.
Anfield, you played the third test one year against England.
Yeah.
Lost the series, but then flogged England in the final. Look who's just texting me.
Oh, Will. I've got to message him back too.
Yeah. Because I sent him the interview because I did the interview with him this morning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I didn't end up. I got suspended for that game, and then the year after, 2015, my lung collapsed, and then in 2016, I got picked again to play in the Anzac test, and then I finally played.
And
that
was like quite a close game from memory, wasn't it?
No, we got smashed.
Did you? Oh, I'm mixing them.
In Newcastle, I remember playing. I think Greg Inglis was my centre, and was it Darius Boyd or Valentine Holmes, someone like that? And I just remember seeing Inglis. I'm like, I've watched this guy terrorise.
That might have been the year after, because I remember my dad was over. You were meant to play the Anzac test against Australia on Suncorp on a Friday, but it stormed for 3 days.
Yeah, so that's the game I got suspended.
On Sunday.
That's the game I got suspended, and I was
New Zealand won that.
Yeah,
because it was the same day that Manny Pacquiao had a big fight. Because I remember me and my dad and his mate.
Yeah, that's right. I remember.
We stopped outside a pub to watch the end of the fight, and then came to the game, and my dad said, "I hope New Zealand win." I said, "Dad, they've got no chance." And then we went and couldn't believe it.
Yeah, well, in 2014, we won that Four Nations too.
That's right.
So I was there for the first week, and then got injured, and they brought me back for the final week. And I remember sitting on the bench, and I was like, I had Isaac Luke there, Sean Johnson, and all these guys. I'm just like, wow. I remember walking into my room, and when I got picked for the squad, and I walked into my room, and my roommate was Roger Tuivasa-Sheck.
Wow.
And he had Jared Rui-Hargreaves, Sam Moore, and Sean Kennedy-Dow in our room. And I just remember like putting my stuff down on the bed.
Yeah.
And then I
went, can I have your autograph, please?
And I was like, I was trying to play cool. I was like, oh, hey, what's up, brothers? And then I went to the toilet and I rang my brothers, and I was like, you guys wouldn't believe who's in my room right now.
Mate, I bet they were in there going, I'm rooming with Dallin. Mate, I won't keep you much longer. You've got some business things going on, haven't you? Your watches, and did I see something, computer games or something?
Yeah, so I've always played games, mate. So, that's my Friday, Saturday nights. I'm on the PlayStation. I've been doing it since I was a kid, and my brother actually brought it up to me last year. He goes, why don't you just stream it? And I was like, no one's going to watch me play games. And then he goes, just try it. And then I did it, and then enjoyed it, and people loved it. So I just kept doing it. And I've just
esports is one of the fastest growing sports in the world now.
Yeah. So we started researching it all, and realizing like there was some stat where like there's more viewers on like gaming platforms than there is the NBA and soccer combined. Like it's I don't watch people play games, and I never thought that would be a thing. No. And my brother was like, just do it, see how it goes.
I can't imagine watching somebody else play
because I've always done it. Like it's sort of my little hobby. Like I've always done on the side since I can remember. I just stream it now. I haven't streamed in a while because I just having 3 kids sort of.
How old are they?
I got a 4-year-old, 3-year-old, and a 6-month-old.
Right. No wonder you're yawning. I bet you're not sleeping.
I'm done. That's me finished. Yeah. Kids.
Mate, I reckon Hopper's trying to catch up with his dad for numbers of kids. What was I saying to you? Where can people find that?
It's just on YouTube. I'm just on YouTube at the moment. I used to be on Twitch, but I swapped over to YouTube, and sort of it's just more of a hobby, like fun kind of thing.
And what about your watches? Where can they look for them?
So we're on Instagram.
I messaged you about the watch and you never replied to me.
When was that?
About 6 months ago.
Was it?
Yeah.
On the watch page or my page?
I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah, the watch page. If he messes the watch page, that'll be my brother, or his wife on there. But yeah, on Instagram is where you can find Zelezniak watches.
Are they going all right?
Yeah, they're doing well. My brother lives off it now, so he retired.
Do you still look at your watch for the time?
No, I'm not really a watch guy. My brother's.
I'm the same, but I have to wear a watch. I never look at it. My watch. I've even got a watch that I can't tell the time on it. The font on it isn't right.
Yeah, so I'm still getting used to wearing watches, but yeah, like I said, I've been a gaming kind of kid growing up.
And is that what your microphone and your earphones are here as well? So
yeah.
You're not Joe Rogan or anything.
Nah. So yeah, me and my brother want to eventually do a podcast. So
yeah, sweet.
Might have to get you on one time.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's
no, it's good.
It's been crazy.
Mate, one good thing about these little chats I've had. It's so good to catch up with everyone, you included. Anybody who's been watching them, they're probably sick of me saying this, but I genuinely mean it. I'm super proud of everything you've done and are doing. You're obviously a good ambassador and a good human, which is the most important thing. And mate, I just want you to settle now at one of the clubs and just turn into a right legend there.
I think this is the club for me to finish my career up at.
Yeah, and you're coming into your peak now, so obviously.
Yep, fingers crossed.
So, and if Nathan Brown, if you're watching, he's really just a prop. Just put him at prop.
No, thanks. If I have to pass 4 in, I'm never playing rugby again.
See what you can do with Lodgy for me, but
look
after yourself and take care. It was great seeing you, lad. And
I'd say thanks heaps, Lee, and thanks for back in Harold Matt starting it all off for me.
Oh no, yeah, we did all right. I mean, I don't know. I guess we're all 10, 11 years older now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you don't grow up in that time, then there's something wrong with you, isn't there? So, of course, if I had my time over again, I might do things slightly differently. Not that I feel like I did anything hideously wrong, but I do feel there was a bit of pressure around the club at the time, and I do feel a little bit guilty that I might have passed a little bit down to you kids sometimes.
No, it was good.
Yeah.
I learned so much.
Just put your thumbs up, bud, and we'll do a picture and I'll put it on things. I always get this wrong and put my thumb right in the way. Good man. You're a good man.
Thanks, Lee.
Take care and speak to you soon. I'll send you this when it's online.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. Take it easy.
Care. Love you. See ya.